Welcome back to the Fine Print, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Caleb Teskey. I'm here again with Miguel Lopez from LB Farms in Enosburgh. And Miguel, I was hoping for this last part we could focus on the business end of things and talk about, well, before we do any of that, I feel like maybe we should talk about the social equity piece of this bill and how it affects you particularly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's it's nice because I think it's so hard, especially at this moment, because you want to say, like, whether you use the term minority or whatever the case. It's just with this whole process. I mean, it's been it has its challenging moments, but at least, like, I think of, like, growing up, like how so many people have had issues with the law because of this flower, and now that it's accepted the way that it is, and now on the legal end of it and everything like that, you're starting to see a little bit of you start to see the change going on. And like the whole social equity thing, it's kind of funky because there's so many different views on it, and so many takes of, like, well, hey, if it's social equity, how come they don't have this type of person maybe working on the CCB? But once again, I think we might have touched base about that a little briefly, that maybe somebody of a certain ethnic background hasn't applied yet. So it's not like, hey, yeah, people talk social equity, but then you really visually can't see it, but yet we don't really know, has there been any social equity people to apply to get involved on that level? We really don't know. But for me, I look at it as that it's like, they know that, I don't know if you want to say not the CCB, but I'm saying in general, it's like the laws in general of, like, they know that they were putting people away for something that's so harmless, such as cannabis. And now that things are changing and it is becoming legal, that you're really seeing, like, even like the social equity status for, like, for the licensing. It's like, hey, like, it's not like a cut to the front of the line. It's just more of like, hey, we notice things haven't been dealt with properly in the past, and now here's our chance to kind of like say, hey, we can do something better about it. And that's where I that's where I'm like, wow, hey, if that's the case, and it can help me out, great. Was it ever an expectation? Never. You know what I'm saying? It was more of like, hey, this is how they designed it, and I'm thankful for it. And I think and any other people that have had a positive, I guess, interaction with it, or how it's kind of benefited them in that way, it's kind of like good, because there's so many people that it hasn't, that had issues because of just the simple cannabis plant, that whether they're doing time, getting locked up, or just friends trying to help friends one another, and then getting caught up in the whole mix of everything. And then it's just I don't know, I really think that, hey, they're doing a good job, and it definitely, like, it has its certain purpose. But is it something, if they didn't offer it, they didn't offer it, but since they put that into the whole mix, I mean, it's not a bad thing at all either.
So you are a social equity applicant.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's kind of funny though, because on if you look up the tier 1, like, licensed establishments, it shows as general for me, but I think that just it wasn't updated, or it just it had an error in there. So, because I did get my I did see it on the minutes at one point where they announced my number, my applicant number, and I did get approved for the social equity. It just doesn't say it on my thing there. So, but yeah, I meant, hey, it's like, if it brought them to to review it, and it kind of like it helped out in whatever way, but it just, I really don't think that it kind of has like any impact on my growing style or what I'm doing. I think
Right.
it's
And I mean, the social equity waiver or whatever is really the smallest part of the expense, right? They waive your licensing fee or your application fee or whatever, and that, which is a drop in the bucket compared to most other expenses, from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice to catch. I mean, in these day and ages where everything is not getting cheaper, I mean, it is nice that, hey, hey, if you can avoid, spending a little extra, then yeah, it's great. But all in all, I mean, it's just something that I think it's almost like it's an investment in themselves as well, because they're going to get some of the revenue from the taxes that we're going to produce from the products that we sell. So it's kind of like a one hand washes the other. It's like, hey, things were kind of messed up, or they like you see like the statistics of whether it's like blacks or Hispanics or whatever, that they were a higher rate of getting busted with flour, or it was more acknowledged on that end, than, you know, Caucasian people, you know, but but now it's just, it's so, it's, I don't know, it's nice, but I mean, really, I haven't felt any challenges like in this whole process, other than just the normal little things that kind of come along with trying to obtain your license, you know.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
How old are you now, Miguel, if you don't mind me asking?
I will be 42 this year.
Oh, now,
Yeah.
what has your relationship been with law enforcement up to this part in your life?
It's actually been pretty good. Like I haven't like had any kind of like, like, you know, arrests or anything like that, you know. It's just, it's but then it's just also being very mindful of like, hey, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things that people are in the wrong place at the wrong time, bottom line. You know, that just it is what it is, you know, and luckily I haven't, you know, it hasn't it hasn't impacted me in that way to where like I've fallen under those like those circumstances. But it's just, have I got stopped because of, maybe some kind of profiling. I really don't know, but it's not like you can really shoot the shit with the cop and be like, hey man, is it brown because I got pulled over? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on here? Is it just because I was going 50 or what? You know, it's like, but yeah, no, like, so I think Vermont's, they're doing good. You know, I think they definitely they're trying to do the best that they can, and but everybody has their own opinions on it as well. You know, like I know Yerman talked about it a little bit. You know, and I think
Yarim, I believe it's Yarim.
Yerim. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Yerman.
Yeah, I had a hard time
Yerim.
saying his name. I had to have him introduce himself because I couldn't pronounce his name properly.
Yeah, Yerim. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for correcting me on that,
Yeah.
because he's such a great guy. I've gotten to talk with him a couple times, and yeah, no, good dude, man. And yeah, but everybody has. I mean, but it's, once again, it all comes down to like there's certain environments that that they've encountered, to where that hey, he might feel that it's it's looked at it, he looks at it in a certain way. To me, I'm just like, hey, it is what it is, and if they're offering it, then great, because there is people that I know that have been severely impacted, from the war on drugs, I guess, if you want to say it. But I hate to use the word drugs because it's like, it's not really,
It's a plant.
yeah, it's a plant.
I don't count weed as a plant and or as a drug. And I want to say that right now because I don't think I've got that out there yet. But I don't think anything that grows in the ground is a drug.
Yeah, no, there's other things too that I think you're going to see down the road as well, because whether you think of like, even like like mushrooms, right? Like that was one of the things too. But with some of the studies that they've done, with people that are autistic and everything, they can see the kind of benefits that it has in the microdosing stage.
Or people with PTSD
yeah,
or some of these types of conditions.
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny because there's a show I think that recently just came out on Netflix in regards to like, like the, people trying this and, doing psychedelics in a sense, but it's in the microdosing, to where it allows them to, open up certain things, within themselves, to kind of realize, hey, maybe if I didn't do this, I would never have realized it. But it helps them kind of maybe hopefully have a better understanding of what's going on in their life. But but the way that they're using it to treat people, like I said, once again, with autism, or like you said, PTSD, I think they're onto something. But that's going to be a long uphill battle for them as well. But like, it goes to show that I don't even know, like, it's still I don't even know, it hasn't really quite sunk in, because this is something I didn't even think I would really see in my lifetime, of being able to have a legal cannabis business. Like, this is
Really? Like never you never thought you'd see this?
I mean, within my lifetime, not at a certain, like, in my teenage years, if they were ever to say, yeah, do you ever see this? Like, I'd be like, probably not in my lifetime, man. And for it to happen, it is just, like I said, it's like a dream come true. It's like, so that's why I guess it just, I meant, being very passionate about it. I'm definitely it's gonna be a lot of hard work, but I'm looking forward to it, man.
Now, are you growing anything else out there on your farm other than what you're doing with the cannabis market?
I meant, well, if you say growing, in a sense, I meant we raise our own beef. We're gonna, raise, we raise our own chickens and stuff. But nothing like anything else, like, other than like nothing really else than plant-based, like, and then your basic vegetables and
No,
stuff
but
like.
most farmers have multiple things going on.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, other than just gardening, like our normal, like, regular, like, food garden, but other than that, it's just
Oh
that,
yeah.
and just.
What are you growing in your food garden, Miguel?
Oh man, we just like a bunch of kale, some asparagus, tomatoes, onions, potatoes. I meant just all that. Our goal is to really like hopefully be able to get sustainable to where we have like, meals that are fully produced off of where we live, and that's just like, that's another thing too of being able to, once again, be lucky enough to live in Vermont that I'm able to do something like this, because in San Diego, no way, the cost of living, the cost of this and that, it's like, you'd be probably, I'd probably be cooped up in some kind of studio or something like that, to where like, very limited, but once again, just, life has a certain direction it's going to take you. And for where it's taken me so far, man, I it's like, I feel like I've won the lotto, but I still got to work,
I would love to try some Vermont grown asparagus. I've never had that.
Yeah. Yeah. Really. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's growing asparagus out here.
Yeah. No, you gotta give it a shot, man. Like, I mean,
I would love to.
I'm not sure how it's going to come out, but you gotta. I know Brussels didn't do good for us though. So Brussels were not good. So, but I guess then once again, just gotta keep trying it.
Can I ask you a little bit about some of the challenges with setting up a cannabis business in Vermont? The banking, the insurance, the zoning, things of that nature.
Well, once again, man, I think it's like, it's so crazy because I meant some people that, that want to jump into it. There's so many, I guess you can say, potential roadblocks on like, how things are set up. And like, luckily, again, I was fortunate enough to have the right, I don't know what you want to call it, but like the setup to where, cultivating on like, my own piece of property, it's great because it's not in my home, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of insurance things that go on with that. So if you want to actually grow in your home, I meant that takes it to a whole nother level, you know what I'm saying? And then even just with me, I'm the only employee. So it's just, that avoids a lot of stuff too. But once you start getting into like multiple employees, or you want to do it in the home, or, whether you're like, in some kind of, maybe, I don't know, a apartment complex, I don't even know if that would go down, because, who knows how your landlords are going to be if you wanted to do something like that. So there's so many things to kind of to factor in.
That's a great point.
But the insurance is where I get you, man. You got to really be, mindful of who you're working with in this industry, because, there's a lot of cats out there that'll try to say, you got to have this, you got to have that. And you really don't, so I think don't just jump on the very first thing that you get a quote on, like, say, for instance, like, with insurances and stuff, it's like, I was able to, get a really great deal. And please feel free, anybody, if you want to hit me up, email me, whatever the case, I would be happy to disclose, who I worked with on that. And yeah, that would be great, because like, some people would say, hey, you got to have this, and you don't. And that could be a cost between $200 to $300 more on your policy a month, a month.
Yeah, and that's not a small expense for like a small grower. Like if you got to pay an extra $2 or $3 a year, that's a serious expense.
Yeah. And then also too, the banking of that, you know what I'm saying? Once again, doing it grassroots, or trying to do this all on yourself, man, it's like, there's a lot of information out there, but a lot of people aren't going to disclose it to you, because, it's just, it's some things that they, that, oh man, if they don't know that, then we can make money off this. But once again, with the whole banking, it's like, talk to some people. I always like it's really good to get on these certain groups, like on like whether it's Facebook or whatever, because you can still like, there's like Vermont growers and certain things that, there's all kinds of like people you can kind of connect with and throw questions out there, and you'll see like a lot of people respond. You'll get a lot of answers, but then that also gives you a lot of avenues to explore on what, is the best route for yourself, But like insurance. What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh no, just saying, like with the insurance and everything, you got to really like, yeah, definitely search around. Don't just jump on the first one, and like I said, anybody that has any questions, man, or that are in the process of doing this and what did I do for insurance, email me, and I'll definitely like relay some contacts and everything like that. And then back to the banking and everything, it's just, that's another part of information to where that, and depending on, I guess, what you're doing, for me, for a small tier one and everything like that, there are certain things you can do to alleviate some of those costs and everything. And, yeah, that would then, and legal advice is huge, man. If you can afford some good legal advice, that is the way to go, and they can definitely get you straightened out on what you need to do, because, that's what they deal with all day long, of how this process works and whatnot. So,
do you have any lawyers that you're working with that you?
Yeah, I do, man. And I mean, it's a great group, and like, man, I love them, man. The Vermont Cannabis Solutions, man. Those guys, Tim and Andrew and Bailey and all that, man. Christina, they're solid people, man. And it's just, you definitely, they do a phenomenal job. and like I can't thank them enough because they're the ones that made sure all my I's were dotted, T's were crossed, and that I really wasn't missing anything. And so to have that level of comfort, if you can go that route a little bit, I highly recommend it. Like, once you have, good legal advice, I mean, you're going to get steered in the right direction. Now, especially that we're this far along, and anybody that's getting into it that really doesn't have a clue and wants to know where to start, well, do plenty of reading, do a lot of research, but then talk and get some legal counsel. That would be my best bet, because a lot of things will fall into place and you'll be able to know what steps to take and everything like that.
Now, when you said you got the mixed tier 1 and you're not growing at home, I assume that means you got a tier 1 elsewhere. Did you have to deal with any zoning issues for getting that set up?
No, it's not in my home. It's on my property and everything, but it's detached. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, it's not in the home itself. It's, on the property, just not connected to the house, So that right there, and that's another thing. It could be kind of funny is that there's, with zoning and everything like that, and like, like fire safety and everything, if your facility isn't X amount of feet from your home, and depending on what you're doing, like lighting or whatever, anything that could be a fire hazard, that plays into effect. So you have to be X amount of feet away from your your home structure. So yeah, once again, I was lucky enough to make sure I was lucky enough to where the facility wasn't too close to the home structure.
And have you had to have the fire marshal come up there and inspect your property?
No, because that was one of the other things where it's just me, so I'm not considered a public, like I don't know what you want to call it, like a public facility, where like if I had one more employee, then that would take in a lot of you'd have to, like, I think you'd have to add in like a bathroom, you'd have to revamp it in a certain way to be up to code, because then if you're considered a public facility, it has to have you have these requirements that you need to either update to or reconfigure into your facility. So but yeah, so like that's just one of the things. So yeah,
so you've avoided some of those measures.
Yeah, and like that's the benefits of keeping things really small. I mean, more power to it. If you can, you have a good team, you want, whatever the case, great. But it's definitely, if you look at it, more people kind of add more cost. So it's just, but also then I don't know, it goes back to the whole growing to where like, I don't know. I never see myself like, expanding to the point to where like, oh man, I'm going to need to take on, like 2-3 more people or anything like that, because it's just one of those things that just, I guess set in my ways to where that, I just, whether it's a clothes designer or whoever, art, I always like to refer to the artist, because it's just, you're painting something. That's just, that you're any of the plants I'm working with, that's like my own art, and I couldn't really like, I don't know, not that I don't trust people, but I wouldn't want to trust to put it into other people's hands, because.
But you trust yourself more than others.
Well, yeah, when it comes to that, yeah, absolutely, but then once again, I think that goes back to the same thing I said, it's accountability,
I think I talked about that as well in terms of what I'm doing. And I mean, I feel you there.
Yeah. And so, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it is. But no, man, I look at it. I love it when like I said, when I see all these people getting their licenses, a good group of people, you might've met them already, Family Tree, I don't know. Have you met Ben and James?
They were supposed to be my first licensees to come on, and they had to cancel for personal reasons, but I can't wait to have them on. They seem like,
yeah, dude, you talk about, they're humble people too, man. That's like the best part about getting to interact with like, the cannabis community is that, I haven't come across someone where I'm like, damn, that dude's a dick, like, man, like, like, how do you get into this? Now, like, not a lot of people that have, like, whether it's Tito and, like, Forbins and all those cats, man, it's like, like, those are the ones, people that are really going to be able to like sustain out here in this market, because they're just, like I said, humble people, man. And that, they're very passionate about what they do.
And it seems like if we are to sort of stave off the influence of corporate America that has been overtaking a lot of the cannabis markets in this country, that it's going to require a lot of cooperation between small growers, especially in a market this size.
Oh, absolutely. And like, I think like, with the way Vermont has it, and whether you're a small scale like myself, or you're one that has like your tier 5 or whatever, It's just, you know, it's keeping that passion to where like it's not a monetary, you don't focus on the money of it, you know, focus on putting out the best quality, you know, fucking plant you can, you know, that's just, yeah, I don't know, man. I just, that's what I hope. And I think as long as they do that, like, especially the Vermonters, man, corporate doesn't have a chance, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I mean, yeah, people like Budweiser, man, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but if Hill Farmstead felt threatened, you know, because of them, they would have never opened up in Vermont, you know? It's like, so now you got like, you know, people that, you know, that are gonna, you know, they're gonna have a stronghold here, man. Like a lot of them. I mean, there's gonna be some that might fall off, but at
That's
least
a
for the most,
great point. That's a great point you made there with the Hill Farmstead line.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you know,
huh.
like, yeah, if they were concerned about corporate, they'd be like, oh man, we can't get into this. But you know, hey, there's people that, you know, want to drink Budweiser and that don't mind going to, you know, the whole, you know, you
Well,
know, the corporate dispensaries
you're
like
right.
that.
Not everybody wants to drink Hill Farmstead, and I've been a
Yeah,
bartender for many years, and I don't understand craft beer. I think it all tastes like shit. But like,
yeah,
I understand shitty weed, and I
yeah,
know that tastes like shit.
yeah, yeah, you know, and but yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I think like you know, as long as people stay passionate about it, man, and that, you know, I meant, yeah, you want to make a living, you want to support your family, you want to be able to just do what you're passionate about, but just don't lose sight of that, you know, because if you're getting into it for the money, man, that's definitely the wrong reason, you know. That's just, you know, because like, man, look at it where like, you know, you think of like these banks, man, they're all thinking like, you know, anybody and everybody, whoever is getting into this is going to be a millionaire. It's not the fact of like that. It's like, so, you know, that's another thing I like to touch base with on the whole banking issue, which I think is more of a
Please.
which is more of a discrimination thing, is like, you know, you can have a regular business account and you don't get charged per month your fee or X amount of transactions, you know, but you want to get into the cannabis business, it's like, you know, they're going to want to like hit you with a $200 to $1,000 fee a month or take X amount of your deposits or any of your
Oh, okay.
transactions,
So
you
so
know.
you meant more of not a racial discrimination, but the type of business that you're running
Yeah,
discrimination.
yeah. It's not a racial discrimination. It's a business discrimination because, you know, these people like, you know, like if you can have an electric business, you can have a storefront that sells tobacco and alcohol and all this and everything, and you know, you don't get whacked with those fees. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you
The
know, but
vape
yet,
tax, well, although the vape tax they do get whacked with, but some of the cannabis companies are also going to start getting whacked with that vape tax.
yeah, yeah, but I'm saying like, but with the banking on it though, you know, like to have to pay somewhere to bank X amount of dollars or to give up X amount of a transaction, you know, those banks should be lucky you even want to put your money in there. You know what I'm saying? You know, be thankful that people want to bank at your bank. But you know what? I'm going to share with you, Caleb, and this is something to really like for all these credit unions out here in Vermont to really consider, man, is that any time that they're going to think of like taxing a cannabis business, being like, it's going to charge you X amount of dollars to bank with us because you have a cannabis business, but we wouldn't tax anybody else with any of the other businesses. But since it's cannabis, we're going to tax you. You know what's going to happen? Once they take cannabis off the federal market or off that federal regulation and everything like that, what's going to happen is you're going to see all these FDIC banks being like, come bank with us, man. It's free. And you know what? All these credit unions are going to lose all these people.
Which
And
is a
every,
day. Sorry to interrupt, but that's a
oh, no,
damn
no, no.
shame because these are Vermont credit unions, and that money's supposed to stay in house, and they're going to lose it themselves by these restrictive policies.
Absolutely, and that's what's going to happen is that, you know, like a lot of people are going to like, hey, NEFQ or, you know, VSCCU, you know, you want to tax us on this and everything, but when, like I said, they take cannabis off the federal list, FDIC is going to be like, bank with us for free. That's where their money is going to go, and that's going to be a shame to these Vermont like financial institutions, you know.
Wow.
So
And that's boy, that might be the best point you've made this entire time. Not to say the other ones
no,
were
no, no,
bad,
no,
but
but yeah,
that is a fucking fantastic point, Miguel.
yeah, you know, and so like, yeah, you know, if they want to shoot themselves in the foot, you know, keep trying to apply all these charges to these cannabis businesses, and you know, run it that way. But you know, as soon as things change, man, everyone's going to go to those FDIC banks, and and word of mouth is huge, man. So these people that are opening cannabis businesses and whatnot, and you know, have relatives that bank at these credit unions and everything. They're going to be like, nah, man, hey, you know what? This bank tried to, you know, charge me to just have my money there. And that's not right, man. Banks are looking at, you know, these customers of like, you know, hey, we should be thankful that these people want to bank with us, not,
Right.
hey, we're going to charge you X amount because of your business, your preference, you know. So yeah, no, that's just my take on that with the whole banking.
Boy, what a great point to get to. I'm glad we got there, man.
Yeah,
And I'm glad I
yeah,
didn't have to say it.
yeah, so like, but yeah, no, I don't know, it's just one of those things, but hopefully things will change. I hope it comes off the Fed list as well and everything, and then get into the whole caps and everything like that too, man. Like, I don't, I'm not like an extractor or a processor to where, that's like a major concern of mine, but one of the things I would want to do at some point is I'd like to be able to distribute like hash, like I meant like,
Which is a super easy product to make for anyone who's
yeah,
growing.
yeah, and like for me, like all my trim, man, it'd be nice, you know what I'm saying? But I look at like, if whatever, who knows when this will all play out, and they'll be able to adjust that or change it, and just let it, not have any caps or whatever. But in the meantime, I look at like, probably just donating some of my trim to local, like people that do baking or whatever, to and like really give it to some people, like like say for instance, like on Veterans Day, whatever the case may be, like, hey, I'll be farming, I'm gonna donate a crap load of trim, so that hey, some of these, like on Veterans Day or whoever, come to whatever farmers market, we're going to be handing out all kinds of free edibles, and it can be like a joint venture with me and whoever is going to be willing to make them, so that way we can kind of give like a and anybody, it doesn't necessarily have to be a veteran, but just somebody that hey, you can't afford it, you can't do whatever, but it's just giving back to the community a little bit, to any little thing counts. So I think that's going to be one of the fun things.
Free
I think a
hash
lot of,
for veterans.
yeah, well, yeah, or I mean, even like retailers or just anybody, like, I mean, that's what I want to do, is like, I plan on making some, hash, but like just giving it, here, I can't sell it because, it's just, I can't sell directly to the public anyway, but gifting is what is one of the best parts about this, and stuff, is just being able to be like, yeah, man, here, try this, and it's just so nice to be able to do that and like not have any kind of repercussions from it. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Boy,
What else you got?
that
What
might
else you got
also
on
be
your list?
the best point you made. I'm sorry if I said the last point was the best point you made, but that might also just taken over.
Right.
Fuck, dude, that was a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah, the cannabis community is going to do really well just for the general community and all,
Hmm.
So yeah, so I think that's one of the best parts about this, is just being able to give back. Because man, I am so thankful to be right where I'm at, and anytime I can help others and just provide some of the stuff I grow to hey, thank you for what you do, or hey, just here it is, because you might be under hard times, whatever the case, who knows, but we all pull together, man, and we're definitely going to make it a good Vermont, man. Not that it's
And
not a
that's
good Vermont right now, it's a
and
great
that's kind
Vermont
of
too.
amazing after all the complaints that have been levied against the regulations and the legislation, is that you're still out here with a message that is overwhelmingly optimistic.
Yeah, you got it. That's the way to live life, man. You don't, being pessimistic or just kind of like a naysayer, man. It's just, that's just, it's kind of, it's what holds you back, man. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of like, there's a lot of things people, a lot of people can get ill feelings over the simplest little things, but if you can realize like, hey, man, I don't like that feeling. I don't. That's just something, because you take a nice big fat hit and you're just like, man, I'm feeling great. I'm out of work. I'm doing whatever, it's kind of like, that good feeling is just something you want to try to consistently keep with you throughout the day, but there's times where I mean, I get frustrated, something doesn't go wrong, but that's one thing too, that in the grow room, it's like everything gets left at the door, man. Like I can't go into my facility and just be like, I'm stressed about this. I got to get the, what, I get in there and I just do what I can do, take my time, man. Cause that's the thing too, is that, you can't rush something you're really passionate about. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you could if you wanted to, but for me, it's like, you know what? I'm going to be able to get done what I can get done today. You know what? If not, I have tomorrow, man. I can just pick right back up and get right back on it. So, but yeah, no, trying to keep that positive thought, man, is just, even anybody out there too, that, whoever watches this or whatever, and you're in the process of getting your license, or, things are kind of like, you have these little hangups and everything, man, don't lose sight, because I think that's one of the things of just, I'm very grateful to be at where I'm at. And those people that are trying to pursue it for themselves, just stay positive, man. And just, just don't let that negative mind get the better of you.
Fucking A, dude. That seems like a really good note to wrap this up on.
Yeah, no, man. No, Caleb, man, if we get a chance to do a part 2, I'd love to, man. And like, just do a little follow-up, see how we're, things are going down the pipeline and how things are all transpiring. But yeah,
What
man.
I'd love to really do, Miguel, is on-site interviews at your farms. Come
Yeah.
through with a camera crew and we'll fucking talk about it there.
You know what? That would be awesome. Because you know what? When you do that, man, we should do a little tasting, man. I'll put on a tasting for you, dude, to where you come sample out whatever, man, and like maybe you kind of wrap up a little quick review, and that would be kind of cool too, man. Where like a bunch of these other growers, man, maybe we can all kind of get to do a little get together. You get like 3 or 4 growers together. We all bring some samples, man. We all kind of give a little like it's like a little constructive criticism review, and I say like in a bad way, like, oh man, this tastes like crap,
No,
but it's
no,
just
dude.
more of like,
I
man,
think what you're saying is
I love it.
that's a great idea what you just pitched right there, and I think we should put that together.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Count me in on whenever you can get some other people lined up, man. We'll pick a place, bring some samples and everything, and just, it's kind of like really get this community embracing one another. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's going to be super key to us, keeping our stronghold here and everything like that. And the morale in general, man. There's some people that might be a little stressed, being like, oh man, how's my product going to do? And to get some good feedback from your other local, like Vermont growers being like, nah, man, you're going to be okay. This is the, get some ideas, hey, I run into this, it's a real great networking kind of thing, but also let alone to like, really be supportive for one another.
God damn. I can see why people told me I should interview you, Miguel.
Oh man. Well, Caleb, thank you, dude. I appreciate it, man. And, I'm not sure how you wrap up these interviews and everything, man, but other than I have much appreciation for what you're doing, man, and looking forward to getting together with you and some of our wonderful Vermont growers, man.
Yeah, and thank you for having me out to your spot. I really appreciate it. Your samples were fucking delicious, by the way.
Thanks, man. Wait till that menu, that 2023 menu comes out, man. It's gonna be nice, man.
Well, I appreciate you driving down to wherever the fuck you're at and sitting in your car to do this interview. And I wish you the best of luck here, Miguel.
Hey, thanks, Caleb, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, peace.